I guess I use the analogy that I'm sort of the duck on the pond and everything looks calm up above, but those feet are frantically going, and that's my brain. A lot of people commented and said she's looking the best she's ever looked. You know, what are you doing?
Welcome everyone to episode 147 of the Sen Nutrition Podcast with your host Bryan today. And on today's episode, I have a very special guest joining me all the way in New Zealand, and it is Tosca Bell, who is a top-level endurance rider and trainer who recently qualified for the World Champs. And Tosca's story is really inspirational and not straightforward, as we'll go through. And it comes off the back of Sen being available in New Zealand, which is really exciting. And I have Tosca on the line here. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. And thanks for taking your time out of your day to come on this podcast. And which part of the season are you guys in at the moment in New Zealand?
Well, it's our off-season at the moment, so it's nice to have a break from competition. But, yeah, it's still busy. The kids are wanting to ride their ponies, and I've got young horse coming through. So there's always something to do.
Yeah, totally. When you have horses, there's always something going on behind the scenes. And you've had a jam-packed last 6 months or this year. If you want to elaborate on that for our listeners?
Yeah, we've just sort of been focusing on that qualifying criteria for the World Champs. There's been a lot of travel involved for us around New Zealand. We've done a big trip right down to the bottom of South Island to get to those FEI Star events, and then another one to the top of the South Island. So it's been a big season, not lots of rides because, you know, you've got to be quite strategic on the events that you do compete in. But, yeah, some big trips away from home. So that's why we're enjoying the break at the moment, definitely.
Yeah, and it seems that's a well-deserved break because the last event in the season was a really good one for you, and you want to take us through that? We
completed our season with the New Zealand Nationals, which were held down in Blenheim, which is at the top of the South Island. Absolutely stunning event. You actually raced through the vineyards there, so it was a beautiful, outstanding track that the guys put on. And that was the 3-star 160k qualification that completed our qualifications for the World Champs. Penny was awarded, Arahi Penny was awarded the best conditioned horse of the event. It was a gallop finish for the line at the end there, but the horses were knocking on the door all day. It was a fantastic event. They were just firing on all cylinders. That was really exciting.
And not only were you firing and your horse firing on all cylinders, your horse took home best conditioned, which is a huge achievement as well. And I'll link for our listeners the video footage of this gallop finish because it's really good to see.
Yeah, it's just an outstanding track. And to be completely honest, it'd be amiss of me to not acknowledge my crew for that award because they made it very clear at the prize giving that the best conditioned award is a crew award and a team award. So a little plug there for my team, Tim and Ty. You did a fantastic job on the day.
Yeah, and they can be sometimes overlooked at how important they are in an endurance event.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they were critical on the day, no doubt about it.
So, Tosca, let's now get right into this remarkable story of your life. And it not only involves endurance, there is super yachts in Monaco, there's a lot of travel, and there's a really solid family unit and story to unpack here. And what we'll start off with is how you got into horses right back at the beginning. And we understand that you had a generally unsuccessful endurance career at the beginning.
It's been a really challenging career. If I go back, I guess I was going down memory lane now, but yeah. I was not born into a horsey family. At about 11 years old, I had the desire to have a pony. And, you know, mum and dad were really reluctant. They didn't know anything about horses themselves. And maybe it was fate, but my dad was working on a local dairy farm and they had a little leaf pony returned, and his primary role in life was to teach little girls how to ride. So that's how I started my riding. And that little pony taught me just how to do the basics of riding, correct posture and that sort of thing. But when he went back, it was on us to go and find a horse. And back then, you found a horse in the local paper, and it was just a ride-up. There was no pictures or videos or, vet checks or anything. And the money wasn't there either. So, a few $100s would buy you a horse. So I had them all. I had the horse that, had no brakes and hauled ass. I had the bucking bronco that taught me how to hold on and sit. And then I had the ones that no one else wanted and no one else could ride. So you name it, I got it.
It's like the baptism of fire.
It really was. So after, I guess, a few years of different horses, my brother got hooked, and so he was the next on board, and he found himself a horse. And then my mum, at the young age of 45, decided that she'd take up riding as well. So next thing you know, all three of us are riding. We all wanted to do something that wasn't pony club, because mum couldn't participate at that. And that's when we found ourselves endurance riding. So it was something we could all do throughout the weekends or the holidays, go to these beautiful places in New Zealand that, we were really privileged to get to ride on. So then it became a real family thing, and my brother and I competed as juniors, and we're relatively successful, but we were just having fun, let's be honest. We weren't really going out there to win every race. And that's when I sort of took off and went overseas after that for a bit and had a break. And when I returned, I realised I needed to keep going. I wanted to get back in the saddle and keep competing.
Tosca, in my notes, is that break in Monaco?
Yes, it is.
Can we elaborate on super yachts in Monaco and this side of your life?
Yeah, we can. When I was a teen, I had butt into the horses and into hockey, and I guess I had to choose a lane at some point because I don't know how Mum did it, but life was absolutely hectic. And funny enough, my brother was in the same hobby. So I was doing a lot of hockey and sort of hung up the horse riding boots for a little bit to focus on that, and was travelling around the country and then refereeing for New Zealand at some point, and got a real taste for wanting to travel. And so I left New Zealand with, I think I probably had about $500 in the bank, and headed over to Sydney and started my travels around Australia. And the first job I landed actually was on the Sydney Harbour Bridge climb as a tour guide leader. So I got to climb that bridge about 3 times a day and tell everybody about your beautiful cities and country. And I think the only fact I can remember now is that Paul Hogan worked on that bridge under construction when it was under construction. So that's my fun fact about that. And then applied for a job online for a super yacht position in Italy. And the captain rang me and said, let's do a quick interview over the phone. I had a quick interview, and next thing you know, I've got the job and booked a flight over to Italy and went and worked on a super yacht.
What a contrast.
Yeah, and thinking about doing that now, it's so frightening. I mean, I just caught a plane, got on a train in some random Italian little town, and found a guy in a pickup truck who said, "Come on, jump in. The super yachts around here."
Wow. How old were you at the time?
21, 22.
No fear?
Yeah. No fear. I just wanted the opportunities, and I knew they loved Kiwis and Aussies because we get in and work hard. So I thought, oh, yep, he's happy, and got on the boat and away we go. It took me to some beautiful spots, obviously, around Italy and France, and we got to meet some pretty incredible people that came on the boat. But, yeah, we were at the Monaco Grand Prix, and my husband-to-be, I hadn't met him. We knew of each other, but I hadn't met him overseas yet. He was travelling and doing his OE, and we actually met at the Monaco Grand Prix, and that was our first date. We went and walked the track. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And
good trip down memory lane.
It's incredible. And that time over there, meeting your husband, was he aware of how into horses you were? Yeah.
He was, well, let's be honest, he married into it. He knew. He knew what he was in for. But yeah, huge support, definitely. It's been such a journey once we got back. I did buy a purebred Arab once we got home and started competing him in endurance. When I purchased him, I knew his siblings were doing quite well out on our tracks. So I thought, yep, I'm onto something here. He's the right age, right height. He's got a bit of a proven bloodline out there. So thought we were onto something. But yeah, it was incredibly frustrating. He would start the race with a heart rate of 54, 56, and we would always struggle to get down past 67. So it was really hard. I knew I could do it, but I couldn't figure out what was wrong. So there were lots of things we were changing to try and improve that success, I guess. And yeah, then knowing that there were siblings out there doing well, that was really, really hard to watch. So I persevered for a long time with him and, yeah, didn't get any further.
Were you near burnout, or did you just try and keep persevering with what you had?
Yeah, at that time, I was pretty determined to make it work for the combination that I had.
Yep.
But I actually was pregnant with our first child, and that was sort of, I guess, the turning point for me, because I knew I was going into the brood me paddock, I guess, had a bit of time to think. And I thought, once I'm a mum, I need to try and do this differently. I knew it would be a huge challenge to keep competing and doing what I was doing, because, the hours in the saddle and that work-life home balance was going to be really challenging. And so at that point, I started to look at who was doing it really well, and would there be somebody out there that could mentor me or support me to look at how I could do it differently when this little baby was here. And so I actually reached out to Ashley Cole at the time, because I was watching her on the tracks, and she actually had one of the siblings of my horse that I was not succeeding with, and she was doing really well. So I was always looking up to her and wanting to know what was she doing and how could I learn from her. So yeah, blow me away. She said, yes, let's work together and I'll help you through this. And I had another horse in the paddock ready to go, and that's when Arahi Penny and I started our training and qualification journey.
Back then, when you were frustrated, did you look into the nutrition and the training, or was it a combination of this?
Probably all of the things, probably too many things. And that's certainly one thing that I've learnt more recently, and that's from listening to your podcast and understanding more of the science and data, but having more information at hand. And so blood tests are regular for me now, because I think if I'd known, I had a baseline, more of a baseline of what I was working with, then I could have understood what I needed to change. And that's something that you've taught me a lot, is just get some data to work with.
Yep.
And then you can understand better. So yeah, looking back, that was certainly something that would have benefited me for sure.
Yeah, and this platform that we have on the podcast, and even all the information on the internet, there's a lot to take in for a horse owner or an endurance horse owner as well. And what we try and do is really simplify it right down to a reason to feed each element in the diet. And if it's not there for a reason, then we don't feed it. And when we try and educate on this platform, we want to help as many horse owners understand the physiology of the horse, their body systems in the most simplest way. And then you can make the judgment yourself on your horse, whether it will suit your feed regime, your training. And we always have to realize that every horse is an individual, and what works for one may not work for another. So you have to be that kind of scientist of your own horse and really know them inside out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think because you can have support directly within your team or indirectly through things like these podcasts, and it's just about surrounding yourself with knowledgeable people. Like, science is not my forte, but knowing that, I can learn from what you're giving to the listeners, which has just been invaluable for me.
That's fantastic feedback, Tosca. Thank you. And when we look at the landscape of information for horse owners, it can be quite confusing out there with a vast array of bag colours. You've got ingredients that nearly go off the page of that. And we just try and decode that for what the horse really needs and wants with the latest research, because it's all evolving every year. And that gives me the question, when you did link up with Ashley, was it a change in mindset, training, or nutrition that made the difference?
Well, I think first off, it was regular check-ins and not hiding anything. So like everything was on the table for discussion. So I just had to be really open about what I was doing. So we started our training program, and then I was coming through the qualification and baby number 2 was on the way. And at that point, I was training 2 160K horses. And Arahi Penny and I did our first 160. I was just on 6 months pregnant, and I had another jockey come and do the 160K on the other horse. And so again, at that point, had to reassess and say, oh, how am I going to get to these goals, and how are we going to focus the time and energy with 2 little ones? And so for me, I just had to strip it back to 1 horse and focus on 1 horse and deliver, I guess, more consistent training, more targeted and focused. I used to always think any time in the saddle for me was valuable, but once we looked at a training program, that was more valuable for the horse, just to be more focused. And one thing that we do now is look at the calendar ahead and work our way back. So what are we aiming for at the end of the season, and then how's that going to impact us at the start of the season? So yeah, I used to do probably way more than I needed to, and just now having a more focused approach is what's really helped me get through.
Yeah, that's a great point for our listeners, to look at that event date or the competition or your goal and work backwards with a structured training plan. And that gives me my next question. How did you start your Sen journey?
Well, I was fortunate enough to join Ashley Cole and be part of her team for her amazing Tonquilty win. And I hadn't seen Novak since he left New Zealand. And when I got to Sterling's Endurance and saw him, I could see the change in his physique. And I had to, I remember commenting on it and saying, wow, look at the difference. And he just looked really lean, really powerful. And it was like the inflammation had gone. And we talk a lot about the New Zealand grass, definitely, and how that's a contributing factor to our competition horses. And so that's when I could see the change that his Sen diet had. And then obviously he went on to have that successful win, which was just a real testament to your feed and what that had done for him.
So it was real life proof of what Sen could do for an endurance horse. And I guess you just applied it to your situation and training back at home?
Yeah. So I recall when CF50 and Sen Oil arrived in the country, and I think I was the first person knocking on Feed Central's door saying, give me more, I need some. And then I saw that have a huge change, just those 2 products alone, in my horse's performance and in her behaviour as well. And then the grain-free arrived just before our nationals competition, which was only a few months ago, and I just knew that would be a game changer. So again, poor Donna at Feed Central hadn't even got the product into her system, and I was already there saying, chuck it in the car. But what I noticed with my horse is she was really healthy, but calm, fired up and ready for it. And a lot of people commented and said she's looking the best she's ever looked. You know, what are you doing? One thing as well I noticed is in the holds, eating wasn't an issue. She was hoeing into everything. And she just got better as she picked off the Ks throughout the race. And yeah, like I say, that last 20 Ks, they were just knocking on the door. They couldn't get enough of that race. They wanted more. And what I'm really proud of is how she looked the next day, because to me, you could leave it all out there in the race, but to get on at 9 o'clock the next morning and present a horse in her condition for the best conditioned award, that just showed to me that feed did everything for her to get her through that race and make her look, or help her look as good as she did the next day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Tosca, you have to be commended on your care and attention of her. And was the best conditioned expected or an unexpected result?
I was pretty relieved, to be honest, to get up the next day and see that she was feeling good, because that gallop finish itself was pretty frightening. So, yeah, I was really happy when I got on and could feel that she was ready to go again. And when the other horse presented and did the best conditioned, she was dancing on all four. She wanted to be there as well. So, yeah, it was definitely a big surprise. But I knew at the time that she felt amazing. So, yeah, really proud of the end result.
Yeah, and that's a great testament that I really appreciate you sharing, Tosca, because if this is your first time listening to our podcast, this is the result that we want. We want to feed according to physiology, but also the ingredients that we provide the horse are there for a reason, and not just to fill the horse with those empty calories that then they just melt away. We want the horse to build through their preparation, and as we've touched on before, they're all individuals. So feeding rates and aspects of each diet can be a little bit different, but the end goal is the same, and that's really helping all their body systems be fueled properly. And that's especially what you'll see, as Tosca saw, with the recovery rate of the horse, and also that eating throughout that event, and also drinking, as we really pride ourselves on, because it was only, I'll just go on a side note here, but I had a phone call before with another endurance rider who said there is a lot of molasses being used to try and get the horse to drink, but you have to actually take one step back and say, why is the horse not attracted to the water? It's because they've got less salt or sodium and chloride in the diet. So you don't need to sweeten up the water if they've got a better thirst reflex with salt added there. And it's all part of a balanced program that we promote. And if you do have any questions or queries, we have an open diet consult function on our website where you can get Peter, myself, or one of our staff to go over your diet and really check those finer aspects. But I think, Tosca, as you've had really good experience now with our Sen feed program, do you know like where you stand with each element, like the way we've explained it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So now with the World Champ qualification, what does the future hold for you and Penny?
Well, to be honest, it's incredibly sort of overwhelming and hard to believe, to be honest, that we've ticked all of these boxes and got the qualification. We are just planning, I guess, the next 12 to 18 months and what that's going to look like. But, yeah, we'll just have to see. It's a big ask. It's a big trip. But ideally getting her over to the UAE for a few competitions there to prep her well in advance for World Champs.
So as I understand, they're in October next year in Saudi Arabia. Is there any lead-up events?
So they do have a couple of events prior to that, and I think it'll be really beneficial for us to get there and to run on some sand and do some of those tracks if we can. But, yeah, it's a big ask and a lot to plan between now and then.
So that now and then plan, what does that look like? So what these next few months towards the end of the year, what will that entail?
So in New Zealand, we've got a high performance program that I'm a part of, and the plan, we have a squad at the moment that are prepping for that World Champs qualification. So it's great that I can say I've done that. And New Zealand will be choosing a long list of competitors in December 2025. And then we'll know how we progress from there. But, yeah, there is a race in February that would be incredibly great to be in the UAE for. So we will start working towards that goal. And yeah, I think it's like any international competition. You want to be over in the environment, testing the horse, getting the horse prepped on that track, doing as much of that as we can. And I guess if those goals can't be for whatever reason, then we'll have to replicate that here in New Zealand in some way.
So upon reflection of how far you've come this time in and looking at how important the family foundations are with 2 kids under 5, the support and the sacrifice with time, is it hard to find that balance?
Well, they're all in it now, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
I guess the family vacation will be in Saudi Arabia, not Rarotonga, like every other family in New Zealand.
Yeah, a little bit more further.
Yeah, and I just want to make my family proud. I'm so grateful that I've got the support that I have. I've got family close by, my in-laws as well, who always step up when there is a competition on to support with the kids. So for me, if I can get to the start line at the World Champs, then I know I've made them proud, and I'll aim for that completion definitely. So yeah, I'm really feeling for Tim at this point because the 2 girls are certainly trying to follow in mum's footsteps. So life's going to get pretty expensive for him from here on.
Yeah, Tim, if you are listening, I feel for you, mate. And I've also got some notes here about your daughter Chloe, how she paints a good luck picture or draws a picture for you. So maybe you have to definitely take her on the road to Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
maybe she'll just have to be the good luck charm, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, that's become quite funny to have some artwork. And we always call it a painting, and she tells us off and says, no, it's a drawing, it's not a painting. But it has become a bit of fun, and it's how they can connect in because, of course, we FaceTime every time we're away. And, like the South Island trips, it was 2 to 3 weeks away from them. So they know now it's okay. Mum's just off to a horse competition and she'll be back soon. But there's no denying it's hard to look after them as well as me and my competitions for the family. So, yeah, kudos to them because they probably sacrifice a lot for me as well.
Yeah, but it'll be a tremendous achievement to line up at the start line at the World Champs. And I think, having your family all involved, I guess they do understand what you're going through and you're chasing that dream. It's such a good and inspirational story, Tosca, of where you've come with all those frustrations back then and surrounding yourself with the right people and always asking questions and trying to improve yourself in every level has got yourself to this part of this dream.
Yeah, thanks. I think I've definitely got a growth mindset myself, which some people don't appreciate because it can be quite trying to be in a growth mindset present all the time because I'm always looking for that continuous improvement, being really open to learning but open to fail as well. And that's something that I've been taught over the last couple of years is, it's okay to have a crack if you've done the work. Don't be afraid to try, but learn from it if it doesn't go 100% or doesn't go to plan. And surrounding yourself with the right people. Like you say, it's so important. You can ask for advice all day long, but you need to be seeking the advice from those that you trust and you can rely on and are sort of going to be there for the long term because it is a long game. It's taken 3 years to qualify this horse and we have had a bumpy road, her and I. She's had a few injuries herself, even to the point where there was a bit of a cracked hip. So, we've had everything and yet we've still persevered, worked through those challenges. I guess I use the analogy that I'm sort of the duck on the pond and everything looks calm up above, but those feet are frantically going and that's my brain. Always looking at the next thing, what's coming up, how we're going to tackle that. And, I think this campaign to World Champs has been no different.
I think, Tosca, hopefully it's all smooth sailing now until the World Champs. So is Penny just having a rest now in the paddock?
She is, yes, well-deserved rest. And, eating all the food that she can, refueling the body, recovering the muscles. And it's something that's so important, right, is the actual rest of the horse, because that's probably something I never did well either, looking back, because riding was a passion, just wanted to keep riding every day, and the horse never had a solid break. And again, if you look forward and plan out your goals and what's coming, you can also plan the rest. And with these big trips that the horses have had, or she has had this year, rest has been really, really important, just to refuel, let those muscles repair, and get those stores back in.
It's really important for that developing body of obviously the athlete that they are. And when we look at the physiology of the horse and the way, say, for example, their muscle glycogen, and we've touched on this in previous podcasts, riding a horse every day can really go into those stores and really deplete them down to a point where if they don't have any glycogen replenishment, which takes around those 48 to 72 hours, then they start breaking down other parts of their fuel sources, like their muscles, to try and fuel themselves for the training. And once the horse is at a certain fitness level, you don't have to train them as hard because you're not overloading them on the wrong nutrient profile in terms of that sugar and starch. We have a really balanced nutrient profile to really help that more evenness of energy coming in, and then you're going to get that cooler behavior coming out. And has Penny been like temperament-wise and behavior-wise good on the Sen program?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's a fiery redhead mare, so read into that what you will. But a few weeks before the Nationals, we were doing a long run on a racetrack, and we got to about the 40-kilometre mark, and she was hauling. She wanted to go, and it was like the warmer she got, the more competitive she became. And it's a really exciting feeling to know that you're going into a race with that horse under you. And the day before the Nationals competition, we took them for a warm-up run, and they knew what was coming the next day. She knew what was coming the next day. It was so exciting to be on board, knowing what we were about to do. It just, everything felt right, and it felt like it was our race from the day before.
Yeah, that must be a fantastic feeling, being that confident going into a major ride like that. And let's round out this podcast with a quick fire question and answer as requested by Ashley. So we'll make it a bit lighthearted. So what would be your favourite post-ride snack?
Gin.
Or drink. Yeah, or drink. There you go. We got something in common. There you go. One thing you'd never travel to a ride without.
Gin.
Whoa. Okay, you can't say gin for this one. There you go.
No, look, probably a minimum of 3 headlamps. That
nice.
Once you've ridden with a flat headlamp, you'll never ride with just one again. It is awful. So now I pack a few extra. And I think probably, to be fair, I used to be a minimalist when I packed. I'd just take what I needed. Yep. Now, I've since learned that you have to pack multiples of everything. So I now pack everything.
That's pretty good advice. So which Sen product would you never give up?
All of them, now that I have them. But I need more. We need more. We need to smuggle everything we can back into New Zealand.
We're working on it. That's my one line to everyone that inundates me with this thing. But I'll give you one last question. If you could give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Let me think about that for a moment.
And I've got some little bit of information that your younger self liked fast cars and subwoofers in the boot.
Oh, no.
Yep. That was your younger self.
You don't know what you don't know. And I think surrounding yourself with the right people who are experts in your field. And I think, that you don't know what you don't know is giving you confidence to ask for help. and to look for support. We have it a lot in other sports where every team sport you have a coach. Throughout schooling you have a coach or a mentor. And once I got into endurance, we don't have that. It's not as accessible to just find a coach like you would in dressage or show jumping. So I think it's just being open to learning and asking those questions when you're out on the track to better yourself. But that's probably all I would say.
Yeah,
and maybe just even now, like not everyone is aspiring to qualify for world champs, so all advice is different. And I think that's why you need to surround yourself with the right people who are experts in the field where you want to go.
Yeah, and I totally echo that. And to even extend on that for myself, it's the ability to unlearn and learn and then unlearn, because we keep evolving with our mindsets and the information that we have at hand with all aspects of life. And if we just pull our ego to one side and just find the right thing or the reason to do something better, I think that's really important that we can have that ability to unlearn.
Absolutely. Could not agree more.
I think we will wrap this up now, Tosca, and I can't thank you enough for all your support of Sen and your time to come onto the podcast between your duties over there, and thankfully it is the off season. And is there any final words you'd like to share?
Just thank you to you guys for doing what you're doing, the support that you've given me directly and indirectly over the past couple of seasons. And yeah, again, thanks to Donna at Feed Central for getting this magical food into our country. It's been so great.
Totally agree. Donna is simply amazing at Feed Central in Cambridge, and we can't thank her enough, and we can't thank all you Kiwis enough for really embracing Sen. And now our job is to keep it on the shelves over there, because it goes pretty quickly, and managing that stock. And Tosca, we'd just like to take a moment to wish you all the best in your journey to the World Champs.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And thanks again, Tosca, for coming on and spending some time with us today to share your journey and story. And if it is your first listen to the Sen Horse podcast, there's another 140 plus episodes to work your way through, all about nutrition, training, and interviews with some key personalities in all horse industries. And if it isn't your first time and you really enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple, your chosen podcast. We really appreciate it. And as we appreciate Tosca for coming on again today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks heaps. Really appreciate it.
Cheers. And to our listeners who are still with us, I just have a little bonus segment that is a nice story that Tosca went into when I asked her about a hairy moment on a super yacht that she encountered overseas. And we'll round this episode out with this story.
Yes, there was. Yeah, super yachts are designed to just be packed up and look good. They're certainly not ready for big storms to come through. And this particular storm was heading in at the time of the Cannes Film Festival, and all of the super yachts, are there. It's just such a big event. And our owner wanted the super yacht to be moored at the Cannes Film Festival. And we knew this weather front was coming in, and the captain said, we're going to go now because we're going to beat it. And so we get out into, relatively okay weather, and it started to pick up. And by the time we got to Cannes, the marina had shut, and they said, we're not letting any more super yachts come in. And so we had to ride out the storm out in the bay while we're looking at all of these super yachts tucked up, moored in for the night. And
it's so scary.
Yeah, it was terrifying, because at one point we all had to go up to the bridge and be with the captain, because then we all knew where we were. But every time we hit a wave, the champagne flutes would shatter, the wine glasses would shatter, and then parts of the boat actually started to peel off, and so the boat was deteriorating.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty daunting to see parts of the boat come flying past. past the bridge every time you hit a wave. So I did call my parents that night, and it was probably 2 or 3 in the morning in New Zealand, and gave them a heads up that we're not in a good place. We're going to ride out the storm. And yeah, long story short, we got through it. They opened up the marina, but we didn't actually know at the time, but it had wiped out the entire Cannes Film Festival.
Wow. And
there was a bit of a media frenzy when we pulled in, because there was this super yacht and it was sort of in tatters. And so, the media caught on to that pretty quick. And once we got off the boat and realised what had happened, it was pretty bad. So we were moored up for a little bit after that. And, it was a bit of a quiet time on the super yacht.